Oh, I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. He's a full-blooded Sioux Indian, one of the greatest Indian painters in the world. Oscar Howe. This is Ralph Edwards.
How do you do, Oscar Howe? I'm mighty happy to know you. I've been waiting a long time for our trails to cross so I could say, Oscar Howe, celebrated artist, champion of the Sioux. Tonight, this is your life. Oh my.
Oscar Howe, Dakota Modern American. Oscar Howe was one of the most innovative American painters of the 20th century, a mid-century modernist who fused traditional Plains culture with a contemporary art expression. Throughout his life, Oscar Howe quietly defied the odds to become a defender of Native American art. Howe was born at Joe Creek on the Crow Creek Reservation in central South Dakota in 1915, the youngest of 3 siblings.
As a child, I understood and lived the experiences of the Sioux culture.
Like many Native children of his generation, he began his formal education at an Indian boarding school in Pierre, South Dakota, almost 40 miles from his home.
I didn't know a word of English when I was taken to the federal boarding school at Pierre. I was 7 years old.
While at boarding school, he struggled with illness. After he was given the news that his mother had passed away, his condition worsened and he was sent home.
His maternal grandmother, Shellface, was there to take care of him. He didn't see any doctors, but he was under her care and really benefited from her nurturing attention. But it also was an opportunity for her to tell him stories and teach him about their culture.
I grew up hearing these wonderful cultural things. To me, it was a challenge to paint and interpret this culture.
This time with his grandmother laid the foundation of cultural understanding that would guide his life's work.
Howe's acceptance to Dorothy Dunn's Studio Arts program at the Santa Fe Indian School in New Mexico began his formal art training. He thrived academically and artistically in this environment, embracing the style which became known as the Santa Fe Studio style.
It seems that we all did the same technique, which was a combination of symbols with objects in the same composition.
It was exciting for Oscar Howe, and it was the first time he was presented with the idea that he could pursue art as a career.
All the doors of all big art galleries in the United States opened up to exhibit this kind of painting. The wealthy and those who can afford to buy American Indian painting came to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oscar Howe was one of many artists in the early 20th century who benefited from government training programs through the Works Progress Administration. This was a wonderful opportunity for many American artists to work and get paid to create public artworks.
I was asked if I would like to paint the dome of the Carnegie Library. It was a very difficult assignment. I just came back from mural training at Lawton, Oklahoma.
In 1942, Howe accepted another WPA commission to create a series of large murals depicting South Dakota history at the Mobridge Auditorium in Mobridge, South Dakota.
Howe was drafted into the Army near the end of this project, but was given a 2-week concession to complete the work before he had to report for duty. Like many World War II veterans, Howe did not discuss his experiences during the war, and he was not interested in a career in the Army.
I just wanted to take care of myself without getting a Purple Heart.
Upon his return to South Dakota after World War II, interest in Howe and his art increased substantially. His work displayed cultural stories, but still in the favored illustrative style. Howe's award of the Grand Purchase Prize by the Philbrook Art Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, allowed him to bring his fiancée, Heidi Hampel, to the United States from Germany. They had met while he was serving in the war.
There was a law against mixed marriages in South Dakota at that time. So in Chicago at Cook County Courthouse, we got married.
In early 1948, Howe moved to Oklahoma where he would complete illustrations for a 2-volume book project called North American Indian Costumes. Heidi joined him there for the birth of their daughter, Inga Dawn. Upon completion of the project, Howe and his young family returned to South Dakota, where the newspaper announced that he was to design massive murals for the Corn Palace in Mitchell, South Dakota, one of the most unique tourist attractions in the country. He designed the Corn Palace murals for 23 years. After completing his undergraduate degree at Dakota Wesleyan University, Howe decided to pursue graduate school at the University of Oklahoma in 1952.
It wasn't a program that was geared specifically for Native artists. It was a mainstream university program. For that reason, he was able to learn about many aspects of Western art history, including what was contemporary at the time, modern art movements, other movements like surrealism. So it was a really rich time for him to learn about other art traditions and to experiment, melding what he knew from his grandmother to be the art traditions of his people.
Combined with his own interpretation of Dakota symbolism, color theory, and compositional tenets, his art began to evolve into the dynamic work we recognize as Howe's unique style today.
Oscar Howe had been a participant in the Philbrooks Indian Art Annual for many years. He would win a major prize one year and then come back the following year as a judge. And by the time 1958 rolled around, he was a regular participant, and to receive a rejection of his work from competition and be told by the jury that his work wasn't considered to be American Indian painting was extremely insulting. In response, he fired back with a very passionate letter.
Whoever said that my paintings are not in the traditional Indian style has poor knowledge of Indian art indeed. I only hope the art world will not be one more contributor to holding us in chains. Oscar Howe, 1958.
Howe's letter is often seen as a revolutionary moment in the history of Native American art. In fact, what it really was doing was acting as a catalyst for concerns and disputes and a lot of behind-the-scenes disagreements about what Native American art was, what was traditional and what wasn't. And frankly, it's a question that still hasn't been resolved to this day.
Oscar Howe's impassioned words led to far-reaching changes in the field, including the establishment of new categories in the Philbrooks competition and the founding of the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which offered an art program that embraced a diversity of expression and engagement with contemporary art trends such as pop art. Howe continued to evolve creatively and increase his public presence in the Midwest. Although he was later offered an opportunity to teach at IAIA, Howe was committed to staying in South Dakota. This decision allowed him to mentor Native American students at the university and establish a summer art workshop for high school students, especially those living on reservations.
I think that many people would look at Oscar Howe's life and see him as a success story. He started out in pretty poor conditions and was able to overcome a lot of adversity in his life. He also was able to take advantage of many opportunities that came his way. In the end, he really wore the hallmarks of a successful modern American man. He pursued his education, he had a wonderful job, he owned his own home, he started a family, he was popular in his community and had a lot of professional success. But I think that there were also sacrifices. Leaving your indigenous community comes with some loss. And I'm not sure if Oscar Howe would have talked about that in his time, but I think when we look back on it from the perspective of today, we can see that there were definitely trade-offs.
The world around him was changing in response to the U.S. government's mistreatment of Native people. Many artists were striking back at the establishment by creating art that disrupted common romantic narratives about Indians. Howe's paintings typically did not directly challenge the stereotypical understanding of Native people in the Midwest. According to Howe, his activism was bringing the best of Indian culture into the modern way of life through his art.
To hear about the fine things in Indian culture from the old Sioux Indians inspired me. The old Sioux painted such beautiful pictures with words that I wish for actual visual ones.
In 1960, Vincent Price reached out to Oscar Howe about appearing on a series he was hosting featuring the work of great American artists. And of course, Oscar was thrilled. He selected some paintings to bring with him to Hollywood, and also specifically brought a painting of the Wounded Knee Massacre.
I've kept the painting semi-objective rather than abstraction. It was not meant to be a shocker, but merely a recorded true event. Unintentionally, the design seemed to show an open grave with a structure like a tombstone of soldiers.
He seemed to want to take the opportunity to speak to a wide audience, to expose this moment in American history. Sadly, it was quickly revealed that the whole invitation was a ruse and that he was really there to participate in This Is Your Life. Some people might think that that was a really great opportunity for him, and it certainly increased his visibility. But the program wasn't about his art. It was about his life's journey, and really a very romantic portrayal of Native American life, and also positioning Dakota and Lakota culture as something of the past. Later in his career, his work was sometimes described as neo-Cubist. I don't think that the general public or even the art community was ready to see a Native artist as an artist. For Oscar Howe, Native American painting could be many things, and he believed that his work was traditional. It incorporated Dakota symbolism, color, form, the use of line, and it was also narrative painting. All of these are aspects of Dakota and Lakota abstraction that had been practiced for hundreds of years.
By the 1970s, Howe continued to paint and had become ensconced in his routines, teaching, continuing his summer workshop for Native high school students, and participating in exhibitions around the country. One of his last professional projects was serving as a U.S. specialist for the State Department on a multi-month tour of Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Oscar Howe retired from the university in 1979 and was appointed Emeritus Professor of Art in 1980. Howe passed away on October 7, 1983. He was 68 years old. Until her death in 2009, Oscar Howe's wife Heidi continued to preserve the legacy of his art with the support of his former colleague, Professor John Day. Howe's daughter, Inga Dawn Maresh, continues to promote and preserve her father's work today. Oscar Howe's legacy lives on in his art and the revival of the Summer Art Institute. The program was restarted in the early 1990s as the Oscar Howe Summer Art Institute, continuing to adhere to Howe's goal of creating opportunities for Native American students and a path to a college education.
To me, the Oscar Howe Summer Art Institute, it's something that's continuously shaped my journey as who I am as a Lakota artist. And I say Lakota artist with a lot of confidence and strength because after I had seen Oscar's work and really heard his story, that made me realize that that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a Lakota artist, as Oscar Howe kind of proclaimed that he was a Dakota artist. I knew that my cultural identity, my foundations of who I was, based through my heritage and my lineage and my ancestors was very important to me.
What I would say to Oscar Howe is Wopila Tanka. I mean, it's a big thank you. He's changed my life, his legacy, it's changed my life for the better.
I believe I'm not just trying, but actually inspiring other Indians by just painting and doing my own work, not only in art, but for appreciation of the native things that Indians contribute in this country.